Welcome, book lovers! I'm here again doing another video. My name's Kendra, this is Readworthy, and welcome back. Today I'm going to do my July wrap-up. It's been a while since I've been able to even sit down and do a video, so I know this is a little late, but you know what? Better late than never. A lot of stuff has happened in this past couple weeks, and so I'm just glad I'm able to do this video right now. That's all I gotta say. Woo! Alright, so we're going to talk about everything that I read in July. I've read 14 books this past month. Woohoo! I read all the books that I had, like, you know, book clubs for and like challenges for, and so there's those. And then, you know, a few of my own that I just was like, you know what, I'm in the mood for this. So we're going to go through this. I read 2 nonfiction books this month. Wow. Like, I don't read nonfiction very often. So the fact that I read 2 in 1 month is just like, ooh, who are you? So we're going to go through 14 books. So we better get started, right? Because God forbid this video stays too long. And then you'll, you know, just click off and never see me again. So here we go. Number 1, the very first one that I read this month was One by One by Ruth Ware. I talked about this in a video recently to do with like nail biters or sitting on the edge of your seat. I don't remember what the video was called, what my husband ended up calling it. But it was like page turners, real fast. You want to read through it quickly. And I stand behind that on this one. I know this book gets a lot of grief. A lot of people aren't a big fan of this book. I'm not one of those. I'm definitely a fan because I enjoyed the ride I was on while reading this book. And although it came down to the very end of the book where it's very obvious whodunit kind of situation, and you figure, I mean, there's not many options. So you're like, well, obviously it's this. And it ends up being that. But that didn't bother me at all, not even in the slightest, because I just really enjoyed the almost ending of this book. Now, I will have to say, I ended up giving this book a 3 stars because for 2 reasons. Number 1, if you're reading a thriller or a mystery book or any of that kind of stuff, figuring out who did it or who's doing it or what have you, and really having it like here, do you see? This is the victim, or this is the, you know, the culprit. Look, see? Like having that like thrown in your face to the point where even if you weren't a thriller reader, you would be like, well, duh. I mean, that does kind of take away from it, let's be honest. And secondly, the second reason is because the reason I say kind of towards the ending is because after it ends, like all the like, you know, thrilling parts of the book and everything is resolved and everything is taken care of and who, you know, the victims or what have you are safe and sound, whatever you want to call it, in any of the thriller, mystery, horror kind of books, there was still like 70 pages left of this book. I was like, why? And sure enough, when I read it, I was like, why? Why did you add that? What was the purpose of that? What was that? That wasn't needed for anything. And when I looked it up on Goodreads, it acts like it's going to be like a series. Why? Like, what? It's not needed. And if you've read this book, you know. But if this is going to be a series, it's a bad idea, number 1. And number 2, if it's not going to be a series, that ending, the very, very ending of the book, once everything is settled and the dust clouds are gone, like that needs to be out. That needs to be, like, I'm telling you right now, like, you should make a new version of this book, do a new edition, and just cut that whole part out. How about that? That's a great idea. I think so. So in the end, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride I was on. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. So for me, that's an enjoyed book, but nothing amazing book. Okay. So the next one I got through my library, and it's called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I'm hoping that's how you say it. Who knows if it is? But you know what? It's me, so shouldn't be a surprise. And it's how to stop doubting your greatness and start living an awesome life. I was part of this little club thing that's like, you know, kind of like focus on yourself kind of thing. Like, meditation and journaling and all this stuff. And they had a bingo thing where you was to read books and try to get a bingo. It was like a little challenge. So I picked this as one of the books and I hated it. I did not like it at all. I ended up giving this book 2 stars. I think it was just crap. And I'm sorry if you've read this book and you're like, I loved it. And don't get me wrong, it didn't get 1 star from me. It got 2. And the reason it got 2 is because for the first, 5 minutes after reading it, so I was a little motivated. I was like, yeah, I'm a badass. Woohoo! And then I was like, this is shit. Like, I was just like, when I really thought about the things that were said in this book, I was just like, and just kind of skip ahead, just like 1 skip. But just so you know, that like one of the sentences says, if you want something bad enough, it will come to you. Okay. And if you didn't want it that bad, if you didn't get what you wanted, then you didn't want it that bad. Okay. So apparently faith is just going to give you everything. No. But that was pretty much like that book in a nutshell. Okay. Not my cup of tea. Like I said, in the beginning when I was reading it, I was kind of like motivating. It was kind of like almost like an inspirational speech. Like, you got this, girl. Let's go. You badass. And then it was like, okay, to keep this up, just want it really bad. And if you don't get whatever you wanted, that's because you didn't want it enough. So, no. I should have got rid of it a while ago, to be honest. But I got that checked off on that bingo. So at least I got that. So then I about that time was, I decided to go through some more book club picks, right? So the next book was a book club pick, and I was really excited about it because I had it. And I was just like, why haven't I read this yet? And that was called The Atlas Six by Olivier Blake. The Atlas Six got a 1 star. Oh, I'm sorry. I hated this book. I hated it. Oh, did I hate this book. And it really sucks because underneath this dust jacket, I mean, I know people have really beautiful copies of this book, but I like the fact that there's like stuff on the book, like, I think that's kind of cool when you don't have a dust jacket on it. And I'm probably not going to I'm definitely not keeping, I don't know why I said probably, I'm definitely not keeping this book because, and look, there's even like, it's so pretty. I just think that's so pretty. It just sucks. Like, the only reason I would keep this book is because I think it's pretty. Because it is the worst book I've read this year. How about that? Maybe I'll keep it long enough so at the end of the year I'll be like, worst books I read this year. And this will be the top 1, I'm telling you. I'm assuming. It is. I don't. And I know it is well liked. And that's fine and all. But it was not well liked by me by any means. It did get 1 star from me. And this book has no plot. Okay? And there are times that I've read books that has no plot. There's one this month, actually, that I read that has no plot that I loved and gave 5 stars. It doesn't have to have a plot, technically. But here's the deal on my rule on that, okay? If the book has no plot, it needs to have characters that I am loving. And they don't have to be good characters. They can be very gray. They can be evil. I don't care. But the characters have to be someone that I want to read about. Like, I want those characters in my life in some way. Whether I'm fighting them, whether I'm trying to kill them, whether I'm loving them, whether I'm their best friends, whatever. The character has to be fantastic. At least one of them. I'm not even that picky. Just give me one. These characters sucked. They're like, I feel like this author was trying to write a book and make themselves sound as smart and just like, I don't even know how to describe what the author was trying to get by with, but it was awful. Every single one of these characters were so like up their own ass. It was so annoying. Not one character was different from the other.
They just were up their they were up their own ass for different reasons, but they were still up their own ass. Like it was like, I'm fabulous and you're not, but let's screw. Like that's what it was like throughout the entire book. Like it was just like, I'm awesome and you're not, but I'm gonna fuck you. That's what this book is about. Okay, and it's not like it was like any good sex hot scenes or anything like that either, because they're not in. I mean, there are scenes where it's obvious that they're like getting down and dirty, okay, but they're not like lasting out scenes or anything like that. It's not like, you know, like Katie Robert, for instance, is a great example of like hot sex scenes that you're literally reading the book for the hot sex scenes, okay? And if you're not, you're lying to yourself because she does such a good job. They're fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've only read one series from her, but she does a wonderful job. This doesn't do that, okay? I don't know why you would want to read this book because it sucked. Game over, man. Game over. 1 star.
This is the worst.
Plus, it did a few things that I hate trope-wise, and I'm just not a big fan of that stuff. So we're gonna move on. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. So next, after that, I went. It was time to do the readathon that I did, and I've already posted a video of the 3 books I read for it. Summerween, and I read 3 books to hit certain prompts, and one of those was The Trackman by C.J. Tudor, and I like this book. It was decent. I gave it 3 stars. I enjoyed it. But I gave it 3 stars because it's a very small, short book, but it felt like it took forever to get anywhere. And it felt like it was almost like a bad Stephen King book. Like he was just, for a short book, he like meanders a lot. Like it's a lot in here is like not necessary at all. And there's even scenes in here that I'm just like, gross. Why is that part of this book? Does that play a part later? Oh, it doesn't. Okay. Why was that in the book? But to say that once it got really like good and things were starting to be revealed, there's no like big huge plot twist. I didn't think, at least, but there was things that were being revealed slowly that you're like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I like that. That did happen. And it's a very much need to finish reading, because I think even in the reading vlog I was like, I only have 1 chapter left, but so I'm going to end this vlog here, but then I had to come back and finish that because the book had a very interesting last chapter to talk about, so I did. But anyway, The Trackman is about a man in 2 time periods, when he's a kid and when he's an adult, and something happens when he's a kid. Multiple things actually happen when he's a kid. A lot of sad, bad things happen when he's a kid. And as an adult, he finds out why those bad, sad things happened. And he decides how he feels about all those things. And that's what the book is about. The end. So when, you're reading about the bad, sad things happening around this kid, like it doesn't happen to him. It's like things that involve his life is happening around him, and then him as an adult finally like facing those bad sad things and trying to figure out the answers, because as a kid he was like, I'm not gonna, this stuff's freaking me out, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna accept them for what they are and let them be bad sad things. So because of that, it was pretty like it just kind of dragged a little, which is kind of shocking being that it's not that big of a book. But it dragged a little. But that is what it is. I did enjoy it. It was 3 stars. I did, once we got to like start revealing stuff in his adult, because he doesn't reveal anything as a kid, but when they start revealing stuff as an adult, like the stuff that he reveals, like I said, they're slow reveals. It's not like a shocking, twisting moments. It's like slow reveals. And all those were good. All those were fantastic. I enjoyed those immensely. So 3 stars. So the next book that I read for the Summerween was supposed to be a slasher. So I read The Final Girls by Riley Sager. And I enjoyed this book. I did. I gave this book 4 stars. I liked, it's not my favorite Riley Sager, okay? It's a low 4 star. My ratings, I've read 2 others by him. Oh no, 3. Oh my goodness, 3 others by him. I've read Survive the Night, which was, I think was either a 2 star or barely a 3 star. I read Survive the Night. I then read Home Before Dark, which I gave a 5 stars. That's my favorite. And then Lock Every Door, which is a very high, almost 5 star, but not quite yet, 4 star book. I really enjoyed that one as well. This one is a low 4 star book for me. I did give Survive the Night a 2 star. This was a low 4 star, but it was still 4 star. And I liked it. I don't know what this says about me. So, okay, so this book is about a woman. I had something about timelines about the same person. That's a little weird. This is about a woman who her past self and her present self, and her past self, she and her friends. I mean, it's not spoilers in the synopsis. She's a final girl. If you don't know what that is, in horror movies, a final girl is the only person that survives the killer, the murderer, the slasher, the guy, Freddy or Michael or any of those guys. He's Jason. She's the final girl. She's the only one that survived all the craziness. And so it's from that one perspective, is for that soul scenario playing out, like how that came to be, like that situation of her and her friends go to a cabin in the middle of nowhere. Friday the 13th, maybe. And then the other timeline is her in present day, because when she got out of all that, there were 2 other women who were labeled by the media as final girls as well, and they were like trying to be her friend and try to like have like a little support group for each other, and she wasn't having it. But then one of them ends up dead, and so it like starts up all kinds of stuff, and so she's just trying to get through it all. So there's those 2 timelines, okay? Why I say I don't know what this says about me, but the part of her in the past, the whole cabin, all that, how that all plays out, like it gives you the whole like rundown of the entire event. That I enjoyed a lot. I don't know if I'm supposed to, but I do. Then again, I enjoy the, 1970s, 1980s, old Friday the 13th and Halloween and Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street. I like those old time movies. So maybe that's why I enjoyed it so much, because it kind of brought me that nostalgia back from when I watched those movies when I was a teenager. So that might be why I enjoyed it so much, but I did. I really liked those parts. And if it was just that alone, that probably would have gotten a 5 star out of me. But the present girl, the present time, what is her name? Quincy, the present time. Yeah, Quincy, the present Quincy, is kind of boring in the beginning, and she's kind of a bitch. So that. Like, she is not all there, let me tell you. But she's trying to fake it. She's trying to fake it till you make it kind of situation. But she's not. She's pretty much trying to like bury everything down deep and pretend nothing happened in her past, and that she's totally a normal girl, and that's not the case. So just accept that. And she didn't. So, and things happened. And it's just like every time I was reading it, I was like, why are you making these decisions? Why are you doing this? I'm like yelling at my book. So those parts, until she's pretty much like having to face her demons, I didn't care to read the present Quincy, up until she was starting to being forced to face those demons. Then she became really good. So, but 4 stars. I did like this book. Riley Sager, I thought could do no harm, but Survive the Night sucks. So there's that. But still, I was proven that he does do well sometimes, and this is one of them. So the next book that I read for that Summerween was The Haunted by Bentley Little. I just got done, I did that video, that reading vlog
video. So my thoughts are there as well for all three of these books. I really, really like this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars, but it's a high 4-star, if that makes any sense. I really liked this book a lot. I'm a big fan of hauntings, haunting houses, haunting people, hauntings, just really creepy atmosphere stuff, okay? Like really creepy atmosphere stuff, but not like in-your-face monster stuff. That is my #1 top-notch stuff when it comes to thriller, horror, whatever you want to call it, okay? I love it. I love it. And I loved this one. It was great. It was fantastic. It's about a family who buys a new house, and that house is no good. The house has got some bad things happening. And it happens pretty dang quickly, and it is creepy as hell, and don't read it in the dark, okay? I made that mistake, and I stopped reading it immediately because I was like, I can't do that. I'm not going to be able to sleep. The reason it didn't get a 5-star out of me was because there is another timeline that comes into play, but it comes into play pretty late in the book. And for a minute there, because I was auto booking a lot of it, I was auto booking most of it. I got it on as an e-reader through my library, but I was auto booking most of it. And at one point in time, I thought maybe I had like accidentally got another book and started listening to that because I was like, wait, what's happening? What is this? Because the timelines are like way back in the histories, okay? Like way, way, way back, like when they first found America, kind of back, okay? And I was confused where this came from. And there's a reasoning for it. There's definitely a reasoning for it. It explains a lot, but I feel like it came in too late. Like I feel like it should have came in a little bit earlier. Not right away because that would have been annoying as well, but sooner. Somewhere in the middle probably would have been better than towards the very end. And I just feel like it would have served it better. I wouldn't have been so confused on why it was coming in at all. But it was really, really good. Really creepy vibes. So if you want a book that's going to creep the crap out of you, definitely read this book. Okay, so earlier I was telling you guys about a book that, doesn't have a plot, but I loved it and gave it 5 stars because I loved the characters so much. And that would be Legends and Lattes. This book is Amazon only, I believe. I'm not sure about that, so don't quote me on it, but it is great. It is so great. It's starting to get really a big, huge following, and there's a reason for it because it's great. This book is about an orc she is done being a fighter. She wants to be a coffee maker instead. So she, sets down the axe and picks up the coffee machine. Oh, what a great description. Anyway, but that's really what it is like, okay? So she decides to stop, killing and stop terrorizing or whatever her axe was bought for. She'd stop doing all that stuff, all that dangerous, life-threatening adventure kind of stuff. She's wanting to like settle down. So she ends up going to a town. At one point in time in her travels, she ran across a coffee shop and tried coffee for the very first time, and she thought it was fantastic. And not a lot of people knew about coffee in this world, so she decides that she's going to create her own coffee shop. So she goes to the town, and this town's never heard of coffee, never even known anything about it. They're like, what the hell is this? Beans and water, okay. That's what they keep calling it, beans and water. And she creates a coffee shop. And that's really what the book's about. Just her in this coffee shop, running this coffee shop. Things happen. There's like, little things happen here and there. She's dealing with things, okay? But in reality, it's just a coffee shop. She's an orc running a coffee shop. And I don't know if that really sells you, but it's fantastic. I love it. The characters are lovable, every single one of them. Every single one of them, except for, the bad guys. Every single one of them is just lovable, just so lovable. And let me tell you, I want to go to this coffee shop so bad, so bad, so bad, and buy a cinnamon roll. That's my plan. If you know, you know, okay? But I loved it. It was 5 stars. And apparently this author is going to kind of like do like a Discworld kind of thing, like Terry Pratchett, I think its name is his name. But anyway, he's gonna kind of like create little mini stories within this world, but they're not like, you know, it's not like a series. It's kind of just like, here's a story over here and here's a story over here kind of thing, which I think that's fantastic, and I can't wait to continue reading these books because I loved this first one. It was great. I enjoyed it immensely. So then when I was done reading Final Girls, I wanted to go ahead and keep going with Riley Sager. So I went ahead and joined in on two more book club picks because they both hit the same book, which was fantastic. And that's The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. And I am sure that you are tired of seeing this book all over the place because that is all you see right now is this book all over the place. But I'm going to give you my talk on this book, okay? So this book ended up getting 3 stars out of me. The reason I got 3 stars is because I did enjoy it a little. I enjoyed it a little bit, and it was definitely better than Survive the Night, in my opinion. But this book is about a woman who is pretty much spying on her neighbors, and she feels like bad things happen to, there's a man and a woman, they're married, and she feels like something bad happened to the wife, and she's going to figure it out. She is herself a widow. Her husband died drowned in this lake that these two houses are across from each other. Okay, and so her husband died in that lake. And so obviously it's not exactly the best situation for her. And this one trope that I can't stand, and I'm sick and tired of seeing it all over the dang place, and that's the woman's drunk all the time. She's pretty much, she's an alcoholic, and she's such an alcoholic that she is a functioning alcoholic, and because she's a functioning alcoholic, she is still able to figure out what's going on around her, but no one believes a damn word she says because she was drunk. They ask her, have you been drinking? And she says, yeah. And they're like, okay, well then you don't know what they're talking about. Shut up. I hate that trope. I don't mind the unreliable narrator part. I don't like the I've been drinking, so I'm not even sure myself trope. I can't stand that. And then no one else believes her either. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. I'm tired of it. I've read it in so many thrillers. It's ridiculous. And I am tired of it. I feel like this is a brand new release. And so that trope should just be done with by now. I get the older books versions of it, you know, Girl on a Train, stuff like that. I get that. This is brand new, man. Don't be bringing out a trope that sucks still in a brand new book. Stop doing that, please. There was also a situation with one of the male characters in this book with her, the main character, which again, I don't remember names, with Casey. With Casey, there's a male character in this book that I hate the relationship throughout the book. I hate it. And not only that, but I think he's not worth her time. Okay? So there's that. And then I think that's the only things I didn't like, though, were those 2 main things. The route that this book goes, I feel like, is fantastic. I loved it. I love that he went there. I think it's great. It's a little bit paranormal, but don't go in this book going, okay, it's all paranormal, because it's not. Okay, there's just a little paranormal essence sprinkled in. Okay. And it's really heavy towards the very end. So don't be going in this book thinking you're going to get a bunch of paranormal crap happening all throughout the book and you're like bored, because that's not happening to the very end. Okay, just know that. I don't think it's being marketed with a paranormal situation because Riley Sager or whoever's marketing this book doesn't want you looking for that right away, because it doesn't happen. Okay, but the twists of this book, there's one really main one, not to do with anything with the wife. That twist is fantastic. I loved it. I did not see it coming. The other twists that happened with the wife were good. I saw those coming at some point in time, but they were still good. And I liked it. I liked all that parts. And a lot of people say the beginning was boring them, and I didn't think it bored me. I enjoyed it. I liked the relationship that she was having with the wife. That was almost like a found friendship kind of thing. I enjoyed that. There were parts of this book that I enjoyed. But the two main issues I have with this book made this book a 3 stars. The next book I read was part of that bingo thing I was telling you about. It's called The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. I've read from her before, so I liked what I've read so far. And I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed it so much. I gave it 5 stars. Yes, I did. Another 5-star read. Woo! It was very, very good. I borrowed it from my library. I keep saying rent like it's a Blockbuster. And if you're too young, you don't know what that is. But anyway, I borrowed it from my library and I enjoyed it immensely. I'm going to buy this book one day. I promise I am, because I want that on my shelves. It's so good. It's about 3 women, 3 separate women who get stood up on a date. Okay. And you find out very, very, very early on that it's the same guy. Okay. And so when you read at the very beginning of the book, when I'm reading through it, I'm like thinking to myself, why would you want or care about this man at all? I'm supposed to like this man at some point? Am I? Because the guy's a douche. He's got 3 women. Like, what the hell? Because it's not from his point of view ever. It's from these 3 women's point of views. And so the thought process and what kind of relationship they have with this man. Let me tell you, when it's getting towards the end, you're just so in awe of how this author was able to pull this stuff off. It's so good. And the ending results of this book for these 3 women, so lovable. I so love this book. I love it. I love it. Obviously, I gave it 5 stars. There would be nothing I changed about this book. Nothing. If you're a big rom-com, chicklet, romance kind of person, you need to read this book. So then I went off into a whole different direction and decided to get a few books under my belt. And I read manga, and I read One Piece, I read 16, and I read 17. I've talked about One Piece multiple times. It is about a found family of pirates who are going after the notorious fortune called the One Piece. Okay? That's all I got for you at this point, because I'm obviously not going to tell you what happened in these books, because hello, that would be kind of spoilery, wouldn't it? But I do. I love this series so much. I have the physical book 18, but I haven't got to it yet. I'll probably get to it this month at some point in time. But after that, I don't have any more physical copies. I have an app that allows me to continue reading mini mangas, but I'm going to want to own the next few copies real soon, because I'm not obviously going to stop anytime soon. I gave 16 a 4-star and 17 a 5-star. I'm not giving any One Piece any less than a 4-star, and that's high 4-star, okay? Not like the low 4-star. It's always high 4 stars. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. I know when I pick up a volume that it's going to take me 1 day to read. I mean, it's a manga, so it's not hard, right? But still, I know that I need that day to read the book. Okay? I need the time to get through the book, because I'm not gonna put it down. So the next book that we're gonna talk about that I read is my other nonfiction book that was part of that bingo thing, Atomic Habits. Oh, good Lord. By James Clear. And I gave this book 4 stars because the foundation is amazing. It is great, okay? But here's the deal. I was kind of looking for something a little different. It's a low 4-star, okay? I gave it, the reason why is because on here it even says, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. And it kind of doesn't do that. Not really. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It motivates you to create whatever habits you want to create, and it doesn't really motivate you to break any habits. I don't know why the whole break bad ones. It explains bad habits and why you should break them, but it really doesn't explain how to. I don't feel like it does, at least. And it doesn't really explain how to build good habits either. It just kind of explains to you why habits are good to have. Good habits are good to have, like why that's a good thing in an adult life to have on a, and good habits, how that would actually help you in life to like start actually putting effort into creating good habits. It goes through that kind of stuff. It like motivates you. It motivates you to create good habits, which is great. But I kind of wanted like almost like a how-to step-by-step guide, and I don't really feel like I got that out of this book. But maybe I can find a different habit book that kind of does that for me. Like, I mean, I should know. I'm a freaking grown adult, right? I should know how to create habits. But anyway, it's a good starting point. It's a good starting book for someone who's never like realized that that they've created habits for themselves, like, and how to continue that process for things that they do want to create habits for. That's the kind of book. If you're that kind of person, this is a book to pick up because it will help you. I promise. So 4 stars. So my last book that I read for a book club pick was called Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I finally read an Emily Henry book. I've got all her books that I know of, at least. I gave it 5 stars. I love this book. It's very, very good. And so I have high hopes for the other 2 that I've got. People We Met on Vacation. And I don't remember the other one. You're probably screaming at me right now about beach read. So those 2, I have those. I'm very motivated to read it. This is the very first book. My husband got me what they called book darts. Like, see, they're like this. If you know anything about me, I am a very don't write or highlight in my book kind of a gal. Okay? I understand the whole annotating. I sort of do. I'm starting to learn. But I am not a big fan. I feel like if you were to reread the book, I get the whole like nostalgia thing of rereading a book and going, oh, that's what I thought when I read it the first time. But at the same time, I feel like you're kind of like giving that away. Like, I don't reread books within a couple months of each other. I reread books like, for instance, Kelly Armstrong, I take years before I reread it. And so there are times that I forget about certain stuff that happens within the book. I know the whole main concept, but I don't know like all the little things that I liked about it, right? So when I go back, if something's highlighted or written on, I'm like, well, I know there's something happens here. That kind of gives away some stuff. But at the same time, I'm kind of starting to understand the idea of it, okay? So because you probably can't see that. You still probably can't see it, but trust me, there are many in this book. I like these little book darts because there's not going to be any markings, but if I take one of these off, there's not going to be any kind of like evidence to show that they were there. The book's not ruined. If I wanted to get rid of this book, I'm not going to, but if I wanted to, or if I wanted to resell it or whatever, I'm not one of those jerks that like give you a highlighted already book. I mean, when I go to used bookstores, it drives me nuts when I pick up a book and I really want that book, but then it's highlighted all over, or written all over, and I'm just like, really, dude? Like, I know I'm at a used bookstore, but I'm already used to like dog ears and like maybe parts of it crumbled up. Do you really need to like highlight parts of the book too? Looking at you, husband. So yeah, I do like these a lot. Like, this was a very good buy, baby. So, I've done this a couple times in other books this month so far too. I do see the appeal of it. And so I do like it. Plus I like the way it looks when it's all done and said. Like, I got that satisfied like little markings all over my end of my books. It's kind of like a little art show that I made myself. Anyway, about the book. I love the book. It was fantastic. It's about a editor. The man's an editor. The woman is a book agent. That's what they call it, book agent. She's a book agent. Her sister, who she like loves with all her life, she is about to have her 3rd baby and wants a break from life in general. And she wants her sister to be there for it. So they go to a small Punduk town to get away from it all. They live in New York. They want to get away from all of it. And, well, she doesn't. The book, I'm never good with books. Nora does not want anything to do with
small town, everyone knows your name kind of a situation. But she's going for her sister because she knows her sister wants her there. I think they were supposed to go for like 3 months. I can't remember now how long they were supposed to go there. But they end up going. It so happens that she has, in the very, very beginning of the book, she has a meeting to try to sell one of her authors that she's obviously an agent for, try to sell his book to this editor. And so she has like a restaurant kind of like lunch meeting with a guy, and it doesn't go well at all. And she hates the man, and guess what? He's at the small town. The banter these two have is fantastic. It's so witty. I love wit. I think it's great. Sarcasm is my best friend. Nora is my spirit animal. I love her. She is very career focused. She is very goal oriented, and she does not apologize for it ever, which I love. A lot of times, you know, they go through this romance and the girl's like, oh, all of a sudden I'm a new person and I don't want to be career oriented anymore because that's bad. Like, they make it seem like it's bad. I understand if you don't want to be career oriented anymore and you want to, like, you know, not care about your career or what have you. Like, I get that. But, like, they make it seem like it's a bad thing that there's a woman who is headstrong and career oriented and, you know, doesn't have, like, she just, you know, business is business and personal life is personal life, and she definitely separates the two. And they always make that seem like it's a horrible thing. And in this book, that's not the case. Nora is fantastic, and the author wants to make sure you understand that. And I love her. I love her. There's parts in this book where she's like, another thing about me, I hate Crocs. Croc shoes. Those shoes, Crocs. I hate them. Hate them. If you love them, great for you. Fantastic. Whatever. I'm not a fan at all. They're like potatoes on your feet. I don't like them. There's a line in here where she's like, don't make me wear your Crocs. I'll throw up. Kind of a situation. And then I was just like, that was one of my little bookmark parts, because I was just like, hell yeah, girl, you just praise be, yeah. And so I really, I really liked Nora a lot. And, you know, I liked the guy too. I liked him a lot too. Charlie, there we go. Charlie, I liked him. I liked their banter a lot. And I liked Charlie's dry sense of humor a lot. And I just felt like, in the end, they bring the best out of each other. So it's a good book. And you should definitely read it if you have not yet. So I was really close to the end of the month about this time. Let me look on my Goodreads. So it was the 26th of July. And I went to my husband and I was like, I'm not going to read any of my book club picks just yet for the month of August. So give me a book that I can read quickly. You know, something that's like maybe a horror or a thriller, something that I can really get into really quickly and get out, you know, read and enjoy, but, you know, not something ridiculously long or chunky or like thought-provoking, any of that crap. And I don't want a romance. I just finished a romance, so give me something else. So he gave me Max Brooks' De-Evolution. And I love this book too. My husband can pick them. I really, really liked this book. It only took me, I think, like a day, maybe a day and a half to get through this book. I ended up giving this book 5 stars. So I finished off on a good, really high note. I mean, all kinds of 5 stars in this pile. I really liked this book a lot. It is a horror book that involves Bigfoot. I guess Community. We'll go with Community. That is like really energy efficient. So there's like, I think like 5 or 6 houses. That's it. Because they're trying to like prove that they, you know, they can save the earth with this whole energy efficient housing. Smart houses. Everyone's in their little houses, and then a huge storm happens and they are trapped and they're trying to pretty much survive. They're stuck. So what comes to be? Oh, Bigfoot shows up. Great. Let's just add on to the stress. There are just a few, there's a multiple of characters in this book. There's a few characters though that I was really attached to and really cheering on. Although I am a fan of the open ending. Like, you know, you kind of decide what happens in the end. But there are kids involved in this book.
Okay. And I needed an ending. Being a mom, I wanted an ending. So the open ending was not, this time was not well received. But I decided not to hold it against the book because the book was so good that the whole, like, you know, if you're not a parent, or you're not someone who has experienced love like a parent would, if you don't have a connection to a kid that strongly, then, you know, you might not understand why I would need I would need a actual ending. And so I don't think I really should hold that against this book, because the book is fantastic. It really is. I hate this little sticker, by the way. It drives me nuts every time I look at it. Like, okay, he's part of World War Z. Got it, thanks. Did you really have to put a permanent sticker on that crap? I actually like the version that's on Goodreads, the look of the Goodreads book. It's like white with a red Bigfoot print. And I think that looks awesome. I think that looks cool. So I kind of want to replace this book with that. If you're a big monster reader, this is definitely should be something you pick up if you're not already. I'm a little late to the party, I'm sure, but it's good. And I really, I think my husband ended up giving it 4 stars, but I gave it 5 because other than the very ending of this book, I would consider this book something that I wouldn't change a dang word of. I still wouldn't change any words of this book. I just would have added to it. And I'm glad that I ended with such high ratings on my books, because that makes it a great month, right? Even though I had God, there's hair in my eye. Even though I had, 1 and 2 star books, that I definitely, Atlas 6, I definitely did not see as a 1 star. It's sad that it was. Anyway, so that was a good month. I say that's a great month. And this month so far, spoiler alert, it's been coming in a great month as well. That's the end.